Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching the earwax removal video today. Apologies for not posting the video on Thursday. I've been off ill, but I didn't want to leave you guys without a video for today, which hence why I'm voicing it over without me on the screen. Excuse me. So what you'll see here is this particular patient's come in feeling very, very blocked up in both ears. What we can see here is this really thick plug of wax, which is quite hard, and we're just using the Zollner suction tube here just to try and maneuver this plug out. Now what you always try and do, if the plug is right at the entrance to the canal here, then it's usually quite long most of the time. So what you'll do is try and reposition that plug, so move it so that you can get a good sort of line of sight on it and be able to pull this plug straight out the ear canal. So you have to kind of just twist it slightly, because at the moment you'll see as the ear canal reaches the outer part of the ear, it hits the bit of cartilage on the outside part of the ear there, so it won't come out straight, so you have to kind of pull it across, in this case across to the right hand side, just to maneuver it around that little bit of cartilage. And that's what I'm trying to do here with the suction tube, just trying to reposition everything. This patient's used a lot of olive oil, which is stuck to the little cilia around the outside edge, and that's what's causing this sort of slight fuzziness to the screen there. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a wipe over with a little wipe on the end of the camera just to clear that up. We've got the Rosen inserter in here now. And because there's a tiny little gap at the top, what I'm trying to do here with the Rosen inserter is pull this forwards. Now, if the wax is pretty solid, then it's going to do a great job of pulling this forwards. If not, then what's going to happen is what you can see here. Because the Rosen inserter is great if you've got a tiny little gap, but because it is so thin on the end, it does tend to pull through the slightly softer plugs of wax. But I'm really trying. You can see I'm struggling here to get around this plug to maneuver it. There we go. Now we're just starting to see it move across to the right hand side a little bit there. I'm just going to pull again now. There we go. Now we can see this plug starting to move. Look at that starting to come away. So we've got it to the outside part of the ear canal. Now the reason the Jobson horn didn't work too well on it to start with, the gap was just a little bit too small. So what happened when I pushed the Jobson horn in, it actually pushed this block of wax further into the ear canal. So it was kind of counterproductive for us really. But we've got a good grip now. There we go with the Rosen inserter. Got it into a nice solid piece of this plug. Look at that coming away. That is a chunky plug, that one. There we go. You can see a little bit of dry skin attached to the back end, but that is a good sized plug of wax. And you look behind it, that ear canal is lovely. It's looking lovely and squeaky clean. So this is what it looked like when I first looked into the ear canal. And you can see the eardrum there, good light reflex, looking really healthy. So we'll take a look at the other side now, and we'll see we've got a very similar problem on this side as well. You can see how that wax is gleaming when we shine the light on it, and that's because the olive oil has completely coated the surface of the wax there. So as we're shining the light in, all that light is bouncing back off that really oily surface. Now you'll see with this particular ear canal, what we're going to have to do with this plug is push it across to the left to avoid that little bit of cartilage. So that's what I'm doing at the moment with the suction tube. I've got a good grip on this outside edge. Now if we're lucky, this piece of skin runs either all the way underneath it or it completely into the plug. Is going to pull the whole thing out. But in this case we're a little bit unlucky. It didn't go all the way in, but we did manage to get that little bit of skin away there from the start. And you can see the remnants of it there just to that left hand side, but there is a little plug you can see behind it. So we're just holding on to that plug there. You can see I'm trying to get a good grip. Now because that big chunk of skin's come away, what's happened, it means the surface of the plug is no longer flat. So as I'm trying to get a grip, obviously the suction is going to work really well on a flat surface. Not too flat though, it's a bit of a Goldilocks zone as far as that's concerned. You don't want it too flat and smooth because the suction doesn't hold on too great, but you don't want it too lumpy and bumpy or irregular either because the suction just can't hold on to it particularly well. And you can see I'm trying to find a surface there I can get a good grip on. but I'm struggling a little bit. So we're going to switch back up to the old Rosen insert. It worked quite well for us last time. You can see I'm trying to get through. There's a tiny gap, far too small for a St. Bart's hook. The same on the other side as well. St. Bart's hook is great if you've got a really tough piece of wax, which looks like this one is, but you have to have a nice big gap above it to be able to get the St. Bart's hook in to be able to do that. The Rosen inserter, much smaller end, much easier for smaller gaps. Downside is that much thinner surface to the Rosen inserter, that much thinner point means that it does this, it pulls through the wax, and you can see it's almost like we're unraveling it here. So I'm just dropping back a little bit further, but this looks like a really good example of that armadillo wax we talked about in the last video, where it's really hard around the outside with this very soft mushy surface. So I've got to break that little bit that just unraveled from the front. I've broken that off using the side of the Rosen inserter. I'm looking for any purchase I can get on that harder wax, but it doesn't look like that's happening. So let's go back in now with the suction. We've managed to loosen it a little bit because we've taken a good central portion of this plug away, which means that when we're lifting from the side, that the wax itself can come away from the canal walls a little bit more. It makes it a little bit more maneuverable for me, a little bit more susceptible to the wiggle, guys, which is what's happening here. So we're just trying to get hold of the front of the wax and wiggle this around, really move this this wax, detach it from all those canal walls and start to bring this forwards. There we go. You can see it just starting to break down. I'm desperately trying to get a hold of this right hand side. I want to pull this right hand side around. That's the only way we're going to get this plug out. And you can see I am literally wiggling my socks off here to try and get this around the corner. Now, it's got a bit of movement. We know there's a little gap at the top because we created it with the Rosen inserter. Is it big enough to get the Jobson horn in? Not quite. We're just going to have to press down a little bit with the Jobson horn and see if we hit that harder chunk. No, we just scooped that central portion away there. That's okay though, because now we can work on this left hand side. That we know should be slightly harder. So as we start to pull this out, you can see we got a grip on some of that softer stuff, but there was a little bit of resistance. You could see that as we pulled that out. So what we're going to do now is go back in, try and hit this much harder block at the back. Look, there we go. See our right hand side scoop around. That's exactly what we wanted to do. You can see that plug coming out there. That smooth surface means that was the side of the plug. That is a good chunky bit of wax. It was really blocking that ear canal up. Eardrum looks lovely and healthy. So this is what it looked like when I first looked into the ear canal. And we'll flick that. There we go. This is what it looks like now. So you can see the eardrum looking really healthy. These are the plugs you remove. So we've got, oh my goodness, 4 centimeters, just over 1.5 inches. I'm going to go with that one. So you can see there was quite a bit of wax in there and some really big old pieces there as well. Patient was very relieved because that had formed almost a perfect plug in both ears there. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did. Apologies for not being on the screen, but hopefully things will be back to normal by next week. So as always guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye everyone.